Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of BiblioTech On Air. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And I'm Israel.
And today we have a new and special guest with us. From our own BiblioTech West, we have Louie with us. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So at the time that this episode is going to be released, it will be the end of AAPI Month. And if you have heard of it but not are sure of it, it is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is celebrated each May, and it honors the rich histories, cultures, and contributions of these communities in the United States. It was introduced in 1978 by President Jimmy Carter as a week-long celebration and later expanded to a month in 1992. This month highlights their significant impact on the nation's history and culture, promoting understanding and appreciation of their unique experiences and achievements, fostering greater inclusivity and respect within our society. For more information, please visit asianpacificheritage.gov. So to get on this topic, we're going to be talking about a movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is available on Kanopy. So check it out for free with your BiblioTech library card. A little bit about the movie. It is a sci-fi action comedy film that follows the story of Evelyn Wong, played by Michelle Yeoh, a Chinese-American woman struggling to manage her family's laundromat. Her strained marriage to Wayman, Ki Hui Kwan, and her difficult relationship with her daughter Joy, Stephanie Sue. Evelyn's life changes when an alternate Wayman reveals she must save the multiverse from an impending threat during an IRS audit by Deirdre Bobador, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Evelyn navigates multiple universes, learning to harness abilities from her alternate selves. She encounters bizarre scenarios while confronting her fears and family issues. She discovers that her daughter, Joy's alternate version, Jobu Tupaki, threatens the multiverse with nihilism and an all-powerful bagel. In a final showdown, Evelyn connects with Jobu Tupaki and reaches out to Joy with love and empathy. She reconciles with her family, including her father, Gong Gong, played by James Hong, finding balance and unity in their lives and the multiverse. The film ends on a hopeful note, emphasizing family and personal growth.
Yeah, if we didn't say before, this discussion is obviously going to contain spoilers, but it's been out since 2022, so...
If you haven't seen it by then...
Yeah, especially the memes or screen caps floating around.
It won like every single Oscar that
it won
it could
7
win.
Oscars, including Best Picture,
Best Actress,
Best
Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh actually was the second woman of color ever to win the Oscar for Best Lead Actress, next to Halle Berry. I can't remember which movie that was
and
for.
And first actress of Asian...
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, which was massive.
For
Her
Halle Berry, I think
speech
she won it for
I think
Catwoman.
I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it.
I sincerely doubt it.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So starting off, how effectively does Everything Everywhere All at Once explore the concept of the multiverse compared to other films or series? What unique elements does it bring to the table?
So I think that especially recently, films about the concept of like the multiverse and stuff like that have come into a lot more popularity. I think Spider-Verse, of course, kicked it off pretty well, but I know that probably wasn't like the pioneer. But it definitely, at least into my mind, that's what brought the concept of multiverse as like a trope in movies, a bit more into the forefront. And I feel like a lot of people have been using it, but I feel like the way that Everything Everywhere All at Once explores its concept of the multiverse has a lot more of like a personal feel as opposed to like a like it's just something to move the plot along. It feels a lot more personal because it's tied almost exclusively to Evelyn's different versions and what kind of lives she could have led, as opposed to, and yeah, this is a universe where like everything is completely different and the mechanics of that world are what's important, as opposed to her other version's personal experience within that universe. I think that aspect is really well done.
Yeah, definitely. I think another thing that they do that's very different versus like Marvel, Spider-Man, whereas they can just like make a machine that allows them to go to another place. Or I think Spider-Man, they have like watches that allow them to go to other universes and things like that, is the way that they can like jump. So they have to do something like
drastic,
out of the ordinary, something random. So for example, like picking your nose and putting it in your mouth, you know, and that allows them to enter into another multiverse and take the skills of their, I guess, their individual,
their other persona or whatever. I loved that. I loved that they had to do something random. Yeah, just like the paper cut scene when you had to get a paper cut in between each finger web.
Oh man. The person I was watching the movie with most recently cringed at that scene so much.
Dude, I know. And then when he was trying to do the paper cut between his thumb and his pointer finger, like I'm like, bro, that can't be easy. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
It's like some thick webbing right there.
yeah, for real.
I honestly, the concept of verse jumping is also the standout part of how they utilize the multiverse, because we'll probably get into it later, but there's such like a beautiful absurdity to the film, and it's not only used like kind of like for the movie's mechanics. It's not only used for like an opportunity for comedy, but it's also like showing that the universe is full of like weird things and weird things that possibly could happen if you just decided I want to do whatever the most random possible thing is. Like you could do basically anything with your life, including trying to purposefully give yourself paper cuts, which that's one of my favorite lines in the movie, just like offhand, where he's just like, you can never give yourself a paper cut on purpose. It's always on accident.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it's just, it speaks to such like a mundane experience that I feel like everyone can relate to. It's just like, no, you never get a paper cut when you're trying to, not that you ever try to.
Yeah, definitely.
I would hope not.
I would hope.
Yeah.
One of the things that like left a big impression on me was when Wayman is talking to Evelyn, and he's like, "You've died thousands of times, right? Or thousands and thousands of times." And that really put into perspective, like, oh man, like there's a lot of universes, you know, like that's crazy, you know, that he's seen her die multiple times, you know, and finally he found the one, right? He found the Evelyn Wang that has the ability to do or to stop
Joe.
Yeah.
My favorite was the fact that he said that Evelyn was her worst version of herself.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he chose that one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because she's just such a prime target for like improvement.
Right. We can only go up from
Yeah,
here.
like
You can only
exactly.
go up from here.
She's a blank slate for all of her other like incredible, extraordinary abilities.
Yeah.
You know, like she's a complete blank slate, and I think that's why she was chosen. But it's also, it's not to make fun of her for living her worst self. It's just showing like you can only go up from
There's
here,
potential.
and there's so
Yeah.
many ways that you can
I
go
like
up from
that.
here.
But
Because
don't you
that made me think that I'm living my worst version of myself.
Oh, I definitely am.
Like the fact that she was so malleable, though, like, don't you think that's kind of like her being her best self in a way too?
Oh, yeah.
Because like, the fact that you can learn all these skills, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, sure, it's the worst version of yourself, but it's also in a way you can't top that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
You have this
Yeah.
Evelyn here who can learn anything and everything.
All at once.
Yeah, exactly. On the topic of Evelyn, our next question does get into her more specifically as well.
How do the multiple versions of Evelyn Wang's character contribute to the overall narrative and her personal growth throughout the film?
I think there are so many versions of herself that she visits in ways where she can just see how like wildly successful her life could have been, or quaint and beautiful in a different way. Like I think about the universe where she's married to Deidre,
Or they're like lovers or something.
yeah, exactly.
The hot dog finger one.
Yeah.
The very same. I think about all of those where like, in a way life is just very beautiful for her. And I can like, she gets distracted by those things because either, like it's so bizarre that she doesn't really know how to like place herself into it, or it's something beyond her wildest dreams that she realizes that she could have achieved with just a few changes of her past. And I think that her finding a way to realize that those things could have happened, but still find happiness and like steady placement where she is, being able to focus on the version of herself that she's become. I think that I think that is kind of the strength of her visiting all those lives and then finally like rooting herself back where she's meant to be. You know?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, from the get-go, she visits that first variation of herself where she's like a successful actress.
Yeah.
Right. Wayman tells her like to be careful, like come back, you know.
Oh yeah, because she wants to stay
She wants to
in
stay,
that
and
universe.
he notices that she's staying and things like that, and that's exactly, she's so caught up in what could be, right? Like you were saying, Louis, and then it does culminate to her understanding, like, no, I am who I am. This is the version that I'm supposed to be with my daughter, and all that, those types of failings and things like that. But yeah, it definitely shows that she's not the same individual. She comes to a different type of understanding of herself, which if you think about it, like, damn, lady, you had to go through this whole multiverse for you to like be appreciative, like
life
of
of your life.
You know, that's one thing that as I was rewatching it again, I was rewatching it with my wife. And she was like, man, she's like super ungrateful. Like, my God, you have a husband.
Life
Yeah,
has a way of
sometimes
bogging you down
sometimes you just get stuck like in your day to day. So you just are, and she's like stressed beyond max, like her failing laundromat and dealing with this IRS lady.
Her dad,
you know,
her
so
daughter.
I can see where she gets stuck in that mindset, and it's hard to be appreciative. Like, her husband's so cute. Of course, everyone from the outside is like, he's so adorable. Why are you so mean to him? But like, when you're in that moment, it's easy to just get stuck. You need sometimes like a big reawakening to appreciate your
that
life.
outside perspective.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I've also seen the other side in other movies and in personal life where, I mean, yeah, you're given shit cards, but that doesn't mean like you get to throw your husband under the bus. You get to be homophobic towards your daughter.
Oh yeah,
like come on.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
almost Pride
understand
Month.
it can be a cultural aspect, you know, that kind of leads to that type of like thinking, but
like her character does hit a point where she's just complete, you know, apathetic, you know, gives in to the nihilism of it all. And before she has that moment of like, because Waymond, he's like, you know, be a bit, you know, you don't have to constantly just be in the negativity of it all, but it's so hard, and it takes her a good while to get to that point.
And we will be back after these messages. It's officially summer, and BiblioTech Library is going to be out of this world. Stop by any of our libraries starting Saturday, June 1st, 2024 to participate in a space scavenger hunt, pick up one of our calendars, and win a prize. It's only the beginning of many more of our summer reading program, Ready, Set, Launch Techie Space Adventures. We hope to see you soon. And now we're back.
How do the visual effects and creative cinematography enhance the storytelling and the portrayal of the multiverse concept?
So much.
for sure.
Short answer.
I right
so
away
much.
think of the bagel.
I know. I'm like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
do you think of that? Like,
Right?
I put everything into a bagel. I mean,
I had I'd mentioned this to you yesterday, but apparently the VFX team for this movie comprised of, I think, total 9 people, but was mostly powerhoused by 5 people who had not gotten any degree in VFX. They had not studied it in school. They studied it on tutorials, I believe, on YouTube, and it is insane to think about that, because you watch the movie and it is such like a beautiful, like just this like really well like imagined cacophony of noise, you know, and like every single effect is like disorienting. It's like whiplash, and like the transitions. I think about especially that one shot that drives me crazy, where it's Jobu Tupaki, and she is like, it's near the very beginning when she's introduced, and she is like shifting between the universes.
Yeah.
She like cracks her neck to the side and then goes up different degrees based on whose body she's inhabiting. Oh my God. As someone who's edited like transition shots in my life and like has a lot of joy with like being able to make it look as smooth as possible. So many things with Jobu specifically are just masterfully done. It really adds to her like presence as someone who is just like this chaotic being that is like constantly like malleable. It's so well done.
Yeah, definitely.
that's crazy. They were self-taught. Man, self-taught people are powerhouses.
Yeah, because I feel like it's also, you just don't get bogged down in like the theory of it all.
It's like your imagination stays your
Yeah, it's
imagination.
true.
Oh yeah.
But I heard that they use LinkedIn Learning, not
Oh,
YouTube.
nice. Actually,
Which is available with your
universal
BiblioTech
class
card.
back
Yeah.
then.
Right. My mistake.
Yeah.
Hashtag not an ad.
Hashtag an ad for BiblioTech.
But I feel like the cinematography contributes to, because as complicated as the whole universe is, it's super easy to follow along with it. Like it's you don't really get lost in the plot, and I think a lot of that does attribute to, you know, the creativeness behind it all, the visual effects, the cinematography. Because in lesser hands, you could easily get lost in this movie. Oh my goodness! But they did a really good job. of just making it super easy to follow and having the effects just, be that meaty part for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So we did touch already a little bit on how this movie covers various themes, including existential themes and the meaning of life. How do these themes resonate with you?
There is no meaning of life.
I know.
Do
I
whatever
was
you
like,
want.
you're just a rock.
In
I would
some
like
other
to be a
some
rock.
other universe, I don't know. I didn't eat ketchup with my eggs. I ate hot sauce, and that led to me doing something else. So what does it matter?
That was the origin of
It's
your
so fun
villain
to
story.
think about like little minute things like that. Like when you go order food or something, like does other universe meat get the chicken sandwich instead of, the burger? What does that lead to? Does it, have catastrophic results?
And I think getting really caught up in like the weeds of it, of like by the time that you really start parsing out multiverse theory and like butterfly effect stuff as well, you start thinking like, oh, every little decision, like that can lead to you like freezing up. But I think that part of the beauty of it is it leads the villain of the movie, Jobu, to a more nihilistic view.
Yeah.
And then it ultimately leads Evelyn to that same nihilism, which is then kind of replaced by I think what is more accurately called like a humanist perspective, because if you get bogged down by like all of like any little decision could like lead to anything, then you give yourself that trouble of deciding.
Yeah,
everything
sure.
everything feels like it could be a catalyst to something terrible if you go down the wrong route. But where Jobu is concerned, it becomes anything could become anything. So none of it really matters. Like I have, and she in particular has seen everything that could possibly be that could possibly result from everything that she's ever, like every little thing she's ever seen. And to her, that becomes nothing in life matters. We weren't put here for a purpose. We were put here randomly. We are one of a few universes that actually has like the capability to produce human life, and what that can become is just sort of like a depressing, like, everything, like nothing matters. We were not actually put here for a purpose. But where the humanistic perspective comes in is we may not have been put here for a purpose. It depends on your beliefs, but we can always find what we want our purpose to be. And that can be just such a large scope of things that we might not realize in the moment. We may feel like we have no control, but ultimately, if life is meaningless inherently, that gives you the freedom to ascribe your own meaning to it.
Yeah, Ruby or Rosanna, was there a specific like scene or moment in the film that had a very emotional impact on you?
I mean, there's so many.
there's so many.
Mean, you can go back to where, Evelyn, she's not quite 100% homophobic with her daughter, because spoiler alert, Joy, she's dating a girl. Well, they've been dating for a while. And like Evelyn still like kind of refuses to wrap her head around it. Like, this is my daughter. This is who she is. This is how, she's going to live her life, and I should love her. I accept her no matter what. It takes her the entirety of the film to kind of get to that point where she's like, you're my daughter and I love you no matter what. So obviously that's going to be a moment, because that's such a common thing in today's society, and not everyone gets that happy outcome. So there's that. And then there's also, which it's kind of more of a silly one, but the chef, the raccoon tattoo, which is,
that was awesome.
It's a comedy bit, but it's also like, just,
You're like, I feel like a raccoon in a person's hat sometimes.
Sometimes we just all feel like a trash panda living our best trash panda
definitely.
chef life.
My favorite part was in the end when Jobu was just like, just let me go. Like, you don't understand me. This is how I feel. This is everything I've been through. And just let me go. And then like for a moment, the mom was like, okay, I'm going to let you go. That's what you want. But then she turns around and she's like, no, I'm your mom. Like, I'm going to like keep you grounded. I'm going to like, put some perspective into your life and things like that. I really liked that because like, obviously you feel that as a teenager. You're just like, dude, like just let me be. Like just let me do what I want. Like I know better right now.
Understand me, mom.
Exactly. But then like I like how in the end they're like, no, like your mom's like older than you, and you should respect them sometimes, because they're just like
Sometimes,
they're
yeah.
like a whole other, like they're living their own lives too for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, like that TikTok trend that's kind of going around right now, where they're like, oh, I'm just like realizing that my parents, you know, are also human beings who are also going through their own life. You know,
Yeah.
they're not right all the time, but they're also living this life for the very first time, like we are.
And we will be back after these messages.
Check out our next Libros and Libations pick, Rules of Prey by John Sanford, available on Cloud Library for free with your BiblioTech library card. This #1 New York Times best-selling author John Sanford's haunting, unforgettable, ice-blooded thriller that introduced Lucas Davenport. The killer was mad but brilliant. He left notes with every woman he killed. Rules of murder. Never have a motive, never follow a discernible pattern, never carry a weapon after it has been used. So many rules to his sick, violent games of death. But Lucas Davenport, the cop who's out to get him, isn't playing by the rules. Check this book out today and meet us at Burleson Yard Garden on July 1st at 6 p.m. We'll see you then.
And now we're back.
I think I wanted to bring this up also regarding like the director Daniel Kwan. And I'd mentioned this to y'all before also, but there's an interview that he did regarding the amount of people who watched this film and connected it to how it feels for them to experience life living with ADHD. And Daniel Kwan, upon hearing all of these things, decided, hey, all of that sounds kind of familiar. Maybe I should go talk to a professional about this. Come to find out, he has ADHD. And he was very relieved at that discovery, because he found out, okay, there is a reason why my living my life up into this point and getting things done up into this point has been so difficult. And it's at least in part because he had been living with undiagnosed ADHD, which is very, very difficult to live with. And I think it really bleeds into the identity of this film, both visually and the way that it's structured, just because it's everything everywhere all at once, which is what it feels like to live with ADHD, especially like unmedicated, undiagnosed, because it feels like even on just like a daily mundane responsibilities sort of way, it just feels like everything is happening. You can't stop thinking about anything, but you can't get to starting anything to like fix those problems. It all just kind of buries you, and you're just your attention is pulled away so much. I think about the first time where she's both in the IRS audit office and she's also trying to talk to Alpha Waymond, and like she is like visually split between the two universes, and she can't fully focus on what Deidre's saying, and she can't fully focus on what Alpha Waymond is saying, and she keeps getting pulled back and forth, and ultimately doesn't retain much of anything, because she's so focused on trying to go two completely different ways that she can't like successfully root herself in either one. And I feel like it really speaks to living with ADHD, where you feel like your attention's being pulled everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's times where, and y'all have heard me do this, be like, what am I doing? Oh my God, I just need to do this. Okay, cool. I'm going to focus on this, and that's it. Like, that's happened to me so many times, you know.
It's because you're universe jumping in that moment.
Yeah, you're verse jumping
Yeah,
in that moment.
maybe.
All right, so let's go ahead and end it on this question. How did the performances of the cast, particularly Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan, elevate the film? Are there any standout scenes that showcase their talents? Which we've mentioned they won awards for this.
The whole movie for both
Ke
of them.
Huy Quan is an American treasure that needs to be protected. He is adorable.
For sure.
Yeah, he is. He was in the Goonies, right?
Yes,
He was in
His-
Indiana Jones also.
His Oscar acceptance speech made me cry so much. It was so sweet.
The emotion behind it. And I mean, you can see that in the speech and the way he played Waymond. Waymond was the absolute sweetest cinnamon roll.
He was the star of the movie.
He was, at the very least, he was the heart of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was.
Exactly.
He's what kept the movie grounded.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
He did so much. He pulled Evelyn out of her, nihilism in that moment when she was willing to go into the bagel. He was like, no, you have to be kind. You can't constantly be bogged down by all of this, you know, even when it's so hard. Just
keep on swimming.
Yeah. It really does. That entire scene where he is grounding Evelyn back into like what matters. It's just wonderful because he's not specifically doing it to like win the day, you know. He's not doing it because he knows that's going to be like something that like unlocks this power in Evelyn to like you know, realize that she needs to like provide people what they need in order to quote unquote defeat them. He's doing it because he is confused and scared, and he is pleading for people to listen to him. Throughout the movie, he's you know, like the way that he fixes problems is by just talking to people and being kind and relating to people. And in that moment, he's doing the same thing, just on a greater scale. And I think it's I think it's Evelyn realizing that oh yeah, this is what he does best. This is something that he does very, very well. And he says, like, you know, like it's strategic and necessary to do to be kind, you know, and to see the good side of things. And I think that, and especially in regards to the performance, I feel like he's giving the performance of his life, you know. And
yeah, he really is. Yep.
And Michelle Yeoh in that moment has just such a beautiful performance in that moment of just like, not like, it's not obvious, it's very subtle, but her just kind of shifting and like her eyes getting kind of like glossy because she's like starting to like tear up thinking about, this is the strength of the person who's been in front of me this entire time, you know, and I've been taking him for granted. And I think that her performance does so beautifully, like really bring it all together about like how much that is impacting Evelyn in that moment.
And
y'all mentioned before we started recording
his famous line.
Yeah, what was that famous line?
In another universe, I just want to be doing laundry and taxes with you.
Yeah, very beautiful.
So
Definitely.
sweet.
Yeah.
I loved that part where he's like, he plays it so strategically. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like you have to have that mentality sometimes. Like the world can take you down if you let it, but you need to be strategic in a way that you can look at the positive, you know, and like kind of just be kind to people and see the light and everything, because he was seeing the light and everything when he would put googly eyes on everything and he was just being so adorable and fun.
Yeah,
you know, his actor when he did his Oscar speech, he had a little googly eye like lapel on his
I did not notice that. I'm gonna go rewatch it and cry again.
Yeah. It was very cute. And I think his wife was also wearing googly eyes like as like makeup, like lighting her eyes.
Oh my goodness, that's so adorable.
Yeah,
wholesome. Well, that wraps up our discussion of Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you haven't seen it, it is available on Kanopy with your BiblioTech library card. So make sure you do check that out because it is, once again, an amazing film. We all absolutely loved it. The acting, phenomenal. Storytelling, 10 out of 10. It won all those awards for a reason. So again, available on Kanopy. Go check it out. And Louie, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. It was an absolute blast to have you. And oh my God, the insight you provided today
I know. Very
great.
meta.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for having me. This is probably, at least in my top 3 of my favorite movies of all time. So
nice.
Yeah, no, seriously, this movie has done a lot to open my perspective of a lot of existential issues. So I was really happy to get the opportunity to talk with you all about it.
Yeah, it was awesome having you.
Thank
you. Maybe on another podcast we'll ask you what those other 2 movies are, but we'll keep it in suspense for now.
Absolutely.
So thanks again for joining us, everyone. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And I'm Israel.
And I'm Lewis.
And we'll catch you all on the next episode.